Hey everyone, welcome back to the Seven Figure Flipping podcast. This is Jessup Warnock, the marketing director for Seven Figure Flipping. Today we have another replay of one of our favorite podcast episodes. It's Bill interviewing the author of the book, Profit First. The book is legendary and favorite amongst real estate investors and business owners around the globe. Bill and Mike discuss cash management strategies that can help your business improve its financial health and prioritize profit. If you'd like more help with your business and you're interested in our Runway program, there's a link in the description of this podcast. Click it, fill out the app, see if you qualify. Okay, that's enough for me. Here's Bill Allen.
My name is Bill Allen, and I'm the leader of a group of elite house flippers and wholesalers called Seven Figure Flipping. We don't brag or show off our success, but instead let integrity and stewardship be our guide. We are dedicated to helping people unlock the freedom they desperately need. If you ask other real estate investors, they will say to keep your secrets quiet. But we believe in abundance, not scarcity, and that's why we are the elite. We are Seven Figure Flipping, and this podcast is our playbook.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Seven Figure Flipping Podcast. This is Bill Allen, and we've been in this series about success habits, and then we moved on to financial success habits and the personal and professional habits that you need to be financially successful in your personal life and your business. And we've been mentioning this book, Profit First. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, what is this book? What is this system you're talking about? How are you using it? Tell me more about it. All our Facebook page was kind of blowing up after the last one that I released. So what better than to bring on the author of Profit First today, Mike Michalowicz. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to jump in and share your message with our audience. I'm really excited about talking to you today.
Thanks, Bill. It's my joy to be here. And thanks for working under these unique circumstances. I'm on my cell phone, my house. I'm working from home today. We lost power and internet. So over like a connection with one bar, and somehow we're pulling this off. So thank you for still doing this with me. We'll
work through it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
The message, even through spotty cell service. So if we have to take video off, we will, all that stuff. But
we're going to get those awkward freezes, like, like you're making a face, it's going to happen.
It'll be fun. They'll be watching us on YouTube, like kind of laughing at us and pointing at us. So it's exciting. I'm personally invested in this because we use Profit First in my business. So I'm really interested to hear some of like your background, some of the things that you've seen in other businesses and stuff, and really just kind of share this with our audience so they can see the effect of this, because it's really been a game changer for us.
I love hearing that. So so I'm an entrepreneur the entirety of my adult life, ever since college. I've had businesses, and the funny thing is they were successful from the outside vantage point. One business was a multi-million-dollar business, and I sold it to private equity. The second company, which was in computer crime investigation specifically, that was on a $7 million run rate. It just grew explosively, and I sold it. But here was the thing. While I was running those businesses, they were never healthy businesses. Constant stress, not able to pay payroll, struggling. I had to refinance my house, I think, on 2 occasions to help cover the business. I pulled and all of my savings I had, which wasn't much, I wiped it out. And I made a little bit of money, or a lot of bit of money actually, at one point when I sold the businesses, but not in operating them. So then my belief became, build businesses as fast as you can because you're not going to make money, but when you sell it, you make money. So I decided to start 10 companies simultaneously as an angel investor. And I now call myself the angel of death because I was so bad. Everything I invested in collapsed, and I wiped myself out completely. I lost my home. I lost my possessions. I didn't lose my family. That was the only thing I didn't lose. And I had to, that was my moment of clarity. I had to appreciate I didn't understand entrepreneurship, and I decided to start writing for myself what makes a business fiscally healthy and what makes a business run efficiently. And so I was doing research and writing and to fix my own ways. And ultimately these became books. So every book I've written, we talked offline about the Pumpkin Plan. That's a sales growth book, and Clockwork, which is an efficiency book, and Profit First. All these books specifically are challenges that I've had. And I learned that other entrepreneurs are in a similar trap. So I share what I've discovered. And today I'm happily a full-time author. I've written 6 books and will continue to write, I think, until my final breath, with the mission of simplifying the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, I think that's incredible, because one thing that you can do when you obviously put things in paper and bound it up and put it out on the shelves, is you give the opportunity to share your message with somebody else. And hopefully somebody else learns from it. I love when I can do this podcast and I can share some of the things that happen in my business and my life and hopefully affect somebody else. And that response that you get from them saying, thank you for sharing that, it's exactly what I needed to hear when I needed to hear it. And, me talking to you before the interview was, hey, you really have changed a lot of people's business, a lot of people's lives by writing this, because just the implementation of this has taken a lot of the financial stress off of me and with the taxes and profit and all that stuff. Because for us, I remember having a tax bill, and I had $120,000 tax bill. And it was when I just started my company. Right. And I had no idea that. I just assumed that I'm a new business owner. I've been working for the government for my whole life, and I got this new business, and I just assumed the business is paying for it. Well, the business doesn't have any money. So guess who's paying the bill? And it flows right to my tax return. So I'm responsible.
Yeah. And if you don't pay for it, then you're in real deep. And I've been there. Like I had a tax bill I couldn't afford. And so I met with my accountant. I said, what do you do? I said, can you skip paying? He's like, well, you can, but you go to jail. So I was like, okay, well, let's skip that one. He said, the alternative is to go into an installment plan, which then the government hits you with not just the interest, but also penalties. It accumulates so fast. So what I did with Profit First is one of the accounts we set up. So Profit First is an account-based system, right? What I realize is the normal behavior of entrepreneurs to do as you do and I do is we react to circumstances and say, oh, do we have the money for that? We also log into our bank accounts and see what our balance is. Many of us daily, I log in 1 or 2 times a day to see, did we get deposits and so forth? Well, I realized I was not looking at my accounting system. So I needed to set up a system that worked at the bank. So Profit First is a system where we set up multiple accounts at our bank. So when money flows in, we then pre-allocate money to these different accounts for its pre-intended use. And one of those accounts is tax, right? Because the biggest bill associated with running a business that people are least prepared for is taxes. For many businesses, it is the biggest single bill that they'll get. And we're not prepared for it. Now, we have, I think it's over 300,000 companies that have implemented Profit First. There's probably more now. But we get emails, I'd say every 5 to 10 minutes, an email comes in from someone that's used the system. And my favorite part of the time is right now when we're recording this. It's the new year. We're going into tax season. And it's going to happen in a month or two as the tax bills do. I get these emails of people saying, I can't believe how excited I am to pay my taxes because the first time ever, my business is taking care of it for me. So it's kind of funny because it's an expenditure of money, but for the first time, many businesses are not getting caught off guard. The business has the cash reserve for them.
Yeah, I love it. In your book, you talk about bank balance accounting. Right. It's really exactly what you're talking about. I will look at my bank account in the company and go, oh my gosh, we got $400,000 in here. We got to do something with this. It's like a hot potato sometimes, right? And it's like, okay, well, I have money. And then the next day you invest all that in potentially for us, we have big swings in our business of real estate. So I might have $1 million in my bank company account. And then the next day it's almost nothing is what it was like before, because we say yes to these 3 properties. And what we're not doing is we're not looking at these long-term projections of, well, when are they going to sell? So then we have this log jam where we need to renovate and rehab all of these properties, but we don't have the funds because it looked like we would have the money, but we're very short-term thinkers instead of long-term. So now we can move the money around, we can make adjustments. And a lot of what we're going to talk about today is the operating expenses. You just, as you grow, and this explosive growth, which a lot of us in the real estate industry see, is we see this explosive growth. And the next thing we know, we're just growing out of control. And I shared on the last podcast, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we always say, this expense is just one more deal. It's just one more deal. It's another $10,000. Yeah. And then next thing you know, you said it 100 times, but you only grew your business by 25 more deals. So it's just the operating expenses just keep stacking up, the systems, all the automation and stuff that we build in.
That's right. It's death by 1,000 cuts. Because in the moment, it's just one deal here, one deal there. And other businesses too, it's the same behavior. It's not with, another deal. It could be, we just need one more computer, just one more hire. But that just one more continues on and it kills businesses. The other thing, there's an interesting phenomenon you talked about, and there's this thing called the recency effect. Whatever happens recently is our perception is that's going to be the experience in the perpetuity. So meaning the large sum of money comes in today, the feeling is like, oh my gosh, I figured this out. I'm going to make money forever. I'm a multimillionaire. Conversely, when all that money's out of the bank, we have a recency effect on the other side. All the money's gone. We're like, oh my gosh, it's all gone. I suck. This business is going under. It's never going to turn around. It's really the averages that defines what a business is. How do we do in the long term? But the human mind is designed not to see the long term. We see the most recent effect, the most recent moment. We put significance in that more than the long term. So with Profit First, what we do is we're going to start carving out, as money flows in, we're going to carve out some of that stuff for the operating expenses, for profit and so forth, so that your long-term gains and your business is protected long-term automatically without us having to try to supplant our natural behavior to look at their most recent things.
Yeah, I actually used one of your quotes from the book on the last podcast I did. It was, when you base your decisions based on your best revenue month, you'll run out of cash quickly.
Yes,
because it's like, that's what we do all the time. We have this great month and we think that it's going to be great forever. Right. And I love your toothpaste analogy in the book because that brings it really back for those of you who don't have businesses. Like, maybe just share a little bit of that. It's almost like
totally.
every person can relate.
Yeah, hopefully everyone brushes their teeth, right? So hopefully. So what this is a concept called Parkinson's law. So there was this theorist from the 1950s studying human behavior, and he realized that as the supply of a resource increases, our consumption of it increases to meet that supply. Now, his studies were around time. So like, if you and I are discussing a contract and you say, hey, Mike, I'll get you the deal in 1 week, it's normal human behavior for you to take a week to get that contract done. But the same guys have the same conversation about the same agreement, but you say, I'll get you in 1 day, you'll likely get to me in 1 day. You'll work through the night to get it done. So as we compress the source or resource of time, we work more efficiently to complete things in the compressed amount of time. Well, this is true for time, and it's true for money, it's true for toothpaste. So the analogy I use in toothpaste is funny. It'll happen to your listeners tonight. When you get ready to brush your teeth, if you have a full tube of toothpaste, we put a long bead on there, and if the water knocks it off the toothbrush, it's like, ugh, it's disgusting in the sink there. We use the tube. But if an empty tube of toothpaste, then we use just a little droplet, and we become so innovative in extracting it out. We twist it, we turn it, we bend it. My favorite thing is, I call it the turtle head toothpaste, where you got to put both thumbs, into it, and that little turtle head peeks its head out. You try scooping it. Like, the reality is a new tube of toothpaste lasts, I don't know, maybe up to 4 weeks, but some people get an empty tube of toothpaste lasting for up to 4 weeks. So it's not the supply, it's our behavior will adjust to meet the supply. And this works to our advantage with cash. If we have a full tube of toothpaste of cash, all that money comes in, you got $1 million in the bank, is our natural tendency to squeeze it all out. But if we intentionally hide away a large sum of that money and leave us very little, now we become innovative. Now we got to figure out, how do we get the same results with less money? You got to kind of do that turtle head squeeze it out kind of process with your cash.
Yeah, if anybody's watching on YouTube, I'm laughing hysterically because I am currently at the end of my toothpaste right now. And when you said 2 thumbs, that was me this morning brushing my teeth. Oh, really? No joke. I probably should have brought it over. It's just ridiculous. And the funniest part is, in my closet, my wife did all this like couponing a while ago. We probably have dozens of toothpaste in there. I can just go grab another one. But I'm squeezing like crazy. But it's exactly right. You talk in the book about like taking, even if you let's just say you start at 1%. Or 2%, you're taking that off. Like, you can operate the exact same way that you did with a couple extra dollars or $1,000 less in the bank. And then you just grow off of that, because you can't go from what you call it, like the line at the bottom of this book is, your business is an out of control cash eating monster, which I absolutely love. Like, it's true. We just rip through cash. And when we go from, when I was small, a smaller company was just me, I was really tight with the resources. I was really concerned about my profitability because I didn't have a lot of money coming in. Next thing you know, we're doing deals. We're doing 10, 15, 20 deals a month. And now, but just like you said, this Parkinson's law is just kind of like, oh, it's okay. Like, we are going to bring more in, and it's more open. So the business can become an out of control cash eating monster. And especially, we're helping other investors grow their businesses from $100,000 or $200,000 a year in gross profit to millions of dollars a year in gross profit. So we want to make sure, and there's a lot of promotion in this industry of just grow really fast, like grow fast. And I did it in a year. You could do it in a year. You can get to 7 figures. I grew my company really fast. But when I go back and look, I grew it organically. I was investing back into the business. I was pulling money back for myself. I also had another full-time job, so I wasn't leaning on all the income. So there's a lot of factors for me that are different from every other entrepreneur who might not be able to invest all their money back into the business to grow as fast. They have to you got to pay yourself. You got to pay the tax man. Like I said, I had a $120,000 tax bill because I grew fast and I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't pulling that money off. So I think, I guess the big thing is controlling this. So I want to ask you a question before we move on. I think you kind of alluded to it are all businesses the same when it comes to using this system? Or do you see that it's widely different for different industries? Because I get that question a lot when I tell people I'm using it.
Yeah. So all businesses fundamentally are the same. And actually in my new book, which is Fix This Next, we were talking about earlier, I've been studying what I call the DNA of business and found that basically 99% of all businesses are the same. Peel back the infrastructure. It's the outer skin that's different, and some of the execution for sure. And so with Profit First, the fundamental system is consistent throughout all businesses. But for real estate investors, there's some additional accounts we want to set up. One is an account specifically to buy new properties. One is if you procure properties and maintain them, maintenance account as you rent them out and so forth. So there are some tweaks, but fundamentally they're the same. I want to also go back to a prior point is this grow mentality. Mm-hmm. That mentality is perpetuated through society. And it's not, it's every business. It's like, you got to grow to profit. And I want to call, the BS on that. It's actually not true. Sales translates to stress on an organization. So the more revenue you're generating, the more investments you're making, the more obligation, the more responsibility you and your business has to deliver on this now. So in the traditional service business, if I sell you a service, I'm going to repair your car, the more car repair sales I make, the more responsibility I have to deliver on this. So that's stress on the organization. The more properties you acquire, the more you got to maintain or flip or do whatever, more stress. So sales translates to stress. The balance to that is profitability. It's the reservation of cash, because cash now gives us protection. It buys us time. Yet most businesses ignore that half of the formula. They all just talk about how much sales do we have, and it's a societal problem. Like I just got home from some travels, and I went through the airport this morning coming in, and I'm looking in the magazine racks, and it's all about this company that grew so fast and that company grew so fast. But I wish the question wasn't, or the conversation wasn't about how fast you're growing. It's how healthy is your business. So I actually make that a deliberate practice. When someone says, "Tell me about your business," I say, "Yeah, it's good. It's nice and healthy, and it's what we're doing. Tell me about your business. How healthy is it?" And people get deer in the headlights kind of responses. Like, well, I've never been asked that. But it's the most important question. We've gotten in business, hopefully to do what gives us joy, but also for financial freedom. And financial freedom comes through profitability.
Yep, totally. I knew we were going to get to the point of growth because you talk about it a lot in the book. And I can tell from reading it that you have some very strong opinions on it. So, because I totally agree. I do too. And the thing that I see a lot of times, and we run a mastermind group where people come in and basically jump in and work with us with our resources, with our just kind of getting together to share best practices. This kind of idea and concept of we're kind of bigger together, we can work together. And we have people from all around the country that are in different cities. And so we're not really competitors with each other, right? So we can help. It's not like McDonald's where they're not going to share their system and what they do with, Burger King or Wendy's and that stuff. But we're able to basically give our contracts, give our resources, all that stuff. And when they come in, I've seen a lot of people come in and try to go from a small business to my size business overnight.
Yeah.
Crashed and burned so hard. They would hire 5-6 people right away. They saw the structure and the accountability chart in my company. And because they thought I got there overnight, they would be able to get there overnight. But the reality is I did not get there overnight, and nobody does. Yeah. It's an organic growth. It's when we went from, 1 deal a month to 2 deals a month to 5 deals a month. When we got to 5, we started outgrowing our infrastructure. So we brought in another person. And with that profitability came the ability to bring on somebody else. We weren't kind of, I'm taking all my reserves and putting them in and sticking 6 people in the company from day one, just hoping that we get to that place. Like we talked about 10 more contracts. Now we're getting there, but really organically growing and scaling a business. And what I love that you talked about in the book is you talk about growth a lot and saying that but if the question, when I pull out profit, how do I grow?
but your business will show you how to grow. So how do you answer that stuff?
Yeah. So the beauty of pulling out profit is it forces you to be selective on the investments you make, of how you're going to utilize the remaining money. So you actually become a smarter investor. Because basically, say I want to post 10% profit all the time. Well, when I take out 10% and I have the money left over, my business is telling me I must make my business operate off this to get that 10%. So I'm reverse engineering the profitability. Now, the irony is businesses that take their profit first are healthier businesses, focus on better investments. They're much more prudent. So they actually become more efficient, more effective. So it facilitates faster growth. Of all the businesses that have implemented profit first, the 300,000 plus, the case studies we get consistently show that profit first businesses compared to their industry contemporaries grow faster. And I know it's counterintuitive because the terms we use, it takes money to make money, like terms like that. Like we're trained that if you want to grow, you have to spend, you have to invest. And I'm saying you can grow by not investing money, but investing thought, by being selective and smart. I actually use this analogy. I did this keynote yesterday, and it was in Winnipeg, Canada. I'm in Winnipeg, and I said, there's 100 people in the audience. I said, hey, just by a show of hands, who would rather make $100 an hour over $10 an hour? And of course, every hand went up. I said, okay, let me change the context now. Who would want to make $100 an hour off their own sweat and effort versus $10 an hour automatic? And the hands started to swap, but most people said, I'd still rather make $100 an hour. Then I said, well, what if that $10 an hour, you could replicate that? You could make it, 20, 40, 70. What if it had infinite potential? Well, roughly when we started getting about $50 an hour on automatic without any effort versus $100 off sweat, people started switching sides. And then when it got to 100 on automatic versus 100 doing the work, everyone wanted the 100 on automatic. And then when the 100 went to an infinite size, people were like, I should have done that from the get-go. That's what a profitable business is. Traditional businesses that focus on growth only, the business owner's like, I have to work harder. I got to push myself more to make more money. A profitable business is all about building efficiencies, being selective investments, finding ways to outsource the work to employees or part-timers or to contractors or to virtual help to get the work done, and sees that when I figure out a way to make even a small amount of money, that $10 an hour, but without making any effort, that I found the pathway to extreme profitability. Because now the goal is just about scaling that. How do I make $20, $40, $60 an hour automatic? That's what we need to do. Focus on bringing in money with no effort of our own, effort of our organization, and that will drive extreme profitability.
Yeah, I think that's big because we're really big on systems ourselves. I know in my business, I spend all this time in this mastermind business now, 7-figure flipping, and my real estate business, my COO runs the company day to day. I spend about 2 hours a week in that business, and it's a profitable business for me that's running. Nice. And I'm getting a W-2 salary as well as the CEO, and it's great, and I get to motivate them, lead them, and I get to do the things that I really want to do, that I should be doing as the visionary, and really doing the stuff that I love, and earning at the potential that I wanted to as a business owner. But we still have those, like, we just implemented this we've been talking about it for years, and I finally said enough. They've been asking me for money. They need a loan to make payroll occasionally. We're getting now, I said, look, it's not going to happen anymore. It's not the bank of blackjack over here anymore. You guys got to operate on your own. And if you're asking me for money, I'm just another lender to you. So let's implement profit first. Let's get it rolling. Brought in a controller, had her do it. And now I'm seeing a lot more. Like, I have 3 accounts now that I absolutely love seeing the balance there, because I know I have a profit account, I have a tax account, and we have an interest account for our lenders. So we keep interest money. And since I take a salary, I actually don't take a personal owner's account. So I decided not to take that. And so that's our structure, and I love it. We got, hundreds of thousands of dollars in there now, getting ready for tax time. Like you said, I'm not stressing out about it because there's money in there. And I know that we have enough. And in fact, we have more than enough in there.
Right. That's the idea. You bring up an excellent point. Is many entrepreneurs have multiple businesses, and yet, I should say, they blend the finances. They have them all in one account or whatever. And then we don't know what business is working. What you did is perfect. By separating out the businesses and mandating they have their own profit first implementation, their own accounts, you can see that business is healthy or not very quickly just by logging in to the bank and seeing those accounts. So it's really important if someone has multiple businesses to have multiple setups of profit first.
Yep. And you mentioned something a little bit earlier about kind of the decision making when you're in a profitable state. So you talked about, growth when you've got money, you make better decisions. And there's no question about that. I've made some horrible decisions when I'm looking at my bank balance and I don't have any money in there, or I'm totally stressed out because I've got loans out to other people. The company's got my money and I personally don't have any money and my HELOC's maxed out. And I'm sitting here going, I got to pay my personal credit card bill. And I'm concerned about it. So what I like in the book, I pulled out this one quote yesterday. It says, "Without enough money, we cannot fully realize our authentic selves." And that really, when I read that, because I had just done a podcast about my last 4 years of my business journey and all the struggles that I've had with cash flow, just so the listeners can hear that they're not the only ones. Like we all have that. And that really resonated with me when I read it. Without enough money, we cannot fully realize our authentic selves. Because I shared a story when I kind of like snapped at my family and snapped at my son. It wasn't me. It was not who I am.
Right.
It was me in a state of stress, and it was really financial stress more than anything else. I mean, I have a roof over my head. We have cars. We have the kids are taken care of. We have clothes. We have all of these things. And I spent a lot of time in the military. I've been in some horrible places where they don't have anything that we have. And I'm perfectly fine. But when the financial stress is weighing on me, I snap at my family. I have kind of a poor business decisions. The decisions that I was making in the company then were very bad. Where now, when I have 3 months of operating expenses in my account, that I can make great decisions.
We lash out when, especially to the people closest to us, so our loved ones, when we're in financial duress. There's a saying that we need to give to get. And I actually reverse that. I think we actually need to get in order to give. Meaning if I don't have a means to support myself, I cannot be of service to other people. And so sadly, many businesses are all about trying to have impact and be of contribution, but the business is not profitable nor sustainable. Sadly, that's mostly what most not-for-profits are. They want to change the world, but they don't think about the sustainability of themselves, and they collapse under their own weight very quickly. So we really need to focus on profitability. It's not a selfish factor. Here's the funny thing. I would argue your clients, the people that work with you, actually want you to be very profitable. Now, they will never say the words. Like, you'll never have an experience where someone, buying from you says, "Hey, please rip me off. Could you rack up the price a little bit more? I really appreciate that." They'd never say that. But here's what they do say. "I want to make sure that this transaction is going to go down effectively and without distraction. That you're panicked about something else. I want you focused on our transaction. I want to make sure that you put care and effort into this, that there's no stress that you're experiencing right now, so I can be catered to." Like, that's what all customers say. And the only way for those things to come into alignment is for you to be consistently profitable. So your clients want consistency. They want a lack of distraction. They want attention on them. And those are all defined by profit. So your clients want to be profitable.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. It's a habit you talk about in there too. Like the habit, we're talking about successful habits for success. Now we're talking about financial habits. And you mentioned like profit is a habit. It's not an event. It's a habit.
Right.
That really hit me. I was like shocked to read that yesterday again and say, this is exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about habits, because habits are those things, those little things that you do over and over and over again that almost become automatic. And that's what we're trying to do here, is make this automatic. I mean, I was taught from a young age, one of the personal success habits that we talked about was saving off the top, just like this. I took my 10% savings before I could spend any of my money. And then I took my tithing and I went and gave before I had my operating expenses, right? So we do this in our personal life, but it seems like when we go into the business world, it's like, that goes out the window. I just need to do that bank balance accounting type thing.
Yeah. So that's what the power of the system is. It's not a new invention. I'm just somebody guy who says what works in our personal life works in our business. And admittedly, or shamefully, many of us don't do it in our personal lives. We all know of it. We all know save for your future first, tithe, reserve. We know those processes, but we don't do it because we say, I can't live off what I have. So I can't, I'm not there yet. I'm not in the position to tithe. I'm not in the position to save for my retirement. But then we grow our income in some way, and Parkinson's law, more toothpaste, we squeeze more out. We're like, well, finally now I can get that second bedroom for my apartment or whatever. I can't tithe it. I can't save it. And then a little more money comes in, and then we get that car, that new car. Like now I need to cover that. And so our expenses climb the exact same rate. The only way to prevent that natural human behavior of Parkinson's law expanding to meet the supply is to put a wedge in of reserving money for its intended use prior to spending. Immediately take out the profit, immediately do these things, and we'll adjust accordingly. The funny thing is, like, I was an employee for a short period of my life before I became an entrepreneur, 6 months. And during those 6 months, I got a gross check. I can't remember. I was making $29,000 a year. I thought that was amazing. I never knew I could make so much money. And so the check would come in, the gross, and just say it was $2,000 every month. When that check would come in, that was the gross pay. The net pay was like $1,200 or $1,100 because all the taxes and all stuff came out. But my lifestyle adjusted to live off the $1,100. I would still go around and brag, hey, I make $2,000 a month. I'd still be bragging about that. But I adjusted my lifestyle off that $1,100. Well, the same is true for our business. You can still go there and brag you got a multi-million-dollar business or whatever. Quite frankly, it doesn't impress me anymore. I used to be impressed by revenue. It doesn't faze me. All I'm impressed by is how healthy is a business. So when we have $1 million business or whatever it is, and we take out the profit first and the other elements to pay our salary, to reserve for our taxes, the business will adjust off the remainder. It's just like that $2,000 check gross, living off the $1,100 net and finding a way to survive.
Yeah. So I think that they understand the concept where we're at. Like, okay, we need this. So there's probably a lot of people that are, I don't know, driving their car, or they're at the gym, or they're listening to us going, okay, so what is this whole thing about? Like, how do I do it? And what's a little bit deeper concept? So we talked about Parkinson's law a little bit, kind of like that, everything fits. So what are some of like the next steps in the big theory behind this?
Yeah, so there's 4 major stages to the implementation. The first stage is setting up multiple accounts. I call them small plates. I translated this from diet theory, and basically the concept is this, that, and this is true, 300 years ago, plates were half the size of what they are today. So George Washington and his friends were eating off of plates that were the size of what we consider a dessert plate. That was their entree plate. But the behavior of humanity was the same then as it is today. They were told, and just as we were, fill up your plate and clean off your plate. That's what Mama would say. Well, as plates have doubled in size, our portions have doubled in size. Therefore, our intake has doubled, our caloric intake. Therefore, our waistlines have doubled. So the simplest way to control that is actually simply reduce the size of the plates. Well, that's what we need to do with our business. Most businesses do bank balance accounting. We log into our bank accounts, we see what money we have there, and we're looking at one massive plate. And then we say, I can eat off of that. Well, instead, we want to set up 5 accounts. And these are what I call the 5 foundational accounts. For real estate investing, you'll probably need some additional accounts. Other businesses will need something different than these 5 alone. But these 5 foundational ones are pretty much for every business. An income account. Income account is a checking account where money flows in simply to be displayed as a serving tray and then carved up. You never pay a bill out of it. Like Thanksgiving dinner. The turkey comes out of the oven. You don't say, hey, everyone for themselves, fight for it. You carve up the turkey so every guest eats. That's what the income account does. Second account is called profit. Profit is the allocation of money to reward the shareholder for investing or starting a business or doing both. So that's different than the next account, which is owner's compensation. Owner's compensation is the salary of the owner, operator. So if you own a business and you work in the business and you had to replace yourself, what would you pay yourself? Or what would you pay that person? That's what you should be paying yourself. That's your lifestyle account. So owner's pay is your regular salary and you live off that. Profit is a bonus check for being a shareholder, a risk taker. And that comes out quarterly. The fourth account is called tax. This we talked about already. This is a reserve the business has to pay your tax liabilities as an owner. And the final account is called OPEX. And this is what's left over to operate the business. And they're divided up on percentages. And the point is here, if $1,000 comes in today into your income account, it does not mean you have $1,000 to run your business. We carve it up based on percentages. Maybe $100 goes into profit, maybe $200 into pay, maybe another $100 into tax reserve. And that means you have $600 to operate your business, not $1,000.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what we're talking about in light here, right? You've got, instead of you could probably operate off of 60 or 70%. You just have to tighten the waistline a little bit. You got to, what it does is it really causes you to be intentional about where you're spending money, as opposed to, well, I'm just going to spend it. And I think back to my wife. I met my wife in England, and in England is a small village. There's like 10,000 people in this village where I was. And nobody has a retirement account. Nobody has, if it's the 28th of the month in that town, there might not be anybody in the bars and restaurants because they just get their paycheck and they spend it. Nobody's thinking about the future. It's just kind of the way of life there. And I looked at it and went, what? Like I was trained as a young kid to build my retirement and think about that because I didn't want to, it wasn't, I'll work my whole life. It was at some point I'm going to retire and enjoy things. And it was a totally different mindset shift there. So a lot of people, I think when they run their business, it's kind of like that. At the end of the month, we just ran out of money. I spent it all. So now really just saying, okay, I don't make 1,000 anymore. I make 600. We can still do really great things with that if that's all we have.
Totally, yeah. And Parkinson's law, as we talked about earlier, you will find ways to do great things. The beauty of the system, though, with Profit First is we are going to take profit out periodically, once a quarter. And what happens here is there's a reward mechanism. So every quarter, you can get a booster shot. So you're actually saving for the future, but you're still rewarding yourself in these little booster shots as you move along. And often they start growing. And that starts building confidence. Even though you have debt, so many businesses have debt, we can use this money to start wiping out debt, but we're still going to get this dopamine release every 90 days or so as the profit comes out.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm going to look at my profit account. And I'm glad you reminded me because I don't think I've taken it out for a quarter.
Oh, you got it. I
need a dopamine shot. All right.
I need that dope, man.
That's it.
Dopamine.
That's it. That'll get us going. So, and then we talked a little bit about the surf sequentially, right? The percentages.
Yeah. So the real quick point here, because it kind of enforces what we just talked about, is those accounts, the sequence I shared is important. Income, profit, ownership comp, tax, OPEX. And the reason is we want to allocate money in that process. Now, I know they're all percentages, therefore it's all pieces of the same pie. But if we do it in the sequence, we get that dopamine response. If you carve out money first to profit and you see profit sitting in that account, it's like, hey, then you pay yourself, you're like, boom. Then you reserve for taxes. That doesn't feel like a reward, but it protects you from, worrying about taxes. So it's like, it's not too bad. And then OPEX. So that sequence is critical.
Okay. And then from there, you go on and talk about removing temptation. So I think this is a big one to hammer here for the people because it's very easy to move this money back and forth.
Oh my God. Then this Profit First so quickly can become a shell game. So while we have 300,000 plus people successfully doing this, sadly, there's potentially hundreds of thousands that have failed to do it because they skipped this step. We allocate money to those 5 accounts. Then the day comes you can't pay your bills, and it will come. But the lesson is this: if you can't pay your bills, it's your business telling you can't afford your bills. There's something fundamentally flawed in the structure of your financials, meaning you're incurring too much cost or you don't have enough good margin. It's usually a combination of the two. But what people will do, and what I did when I first set this up, is I had money in that profit account. I'm like, well, let me just borrow from that. And it's not borrowing, it's stealing because I never returned it. And the business continued to limp along as I emptied and depleted my profit account. I defeated the whole system. So what we need to do is remove the temptation from borrowing from the profit account, which is going to be accumulating cash, also the tax account, because that accumulates cash until we pay taxes. And to do it is you simply find another bank. You can also use what's called a hold account where you can tell the bank to lock the account and you have to go to the bank and get a administrative person to do a release. But I suggest a second bank altogether. So it's just inconvenient altogether. No starter checks, no ATM card, definitely no online banking. Once you deposit, what you do is you transfer the profit money over that tax hold. And you transfer over the profit money into the profit hold in the second bank. Now it's out of sight, out of mind. You have to live off your OPEX. And when it comes to profit distribution quarterly, that's when you take that long drive to the second bank and you take that money out. But it's always, when it comes out, profit money is used to reward the shareholder as a gift to you. It's never to go back into the business.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea of actually driving to the bank and getting a check. It's a big difference between just
fun, man.
Internet transfer back into your bank. So I see that sometimes. What I realized was as I grew my real estate investment company and we get a $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 wire, that's profit or revenue.
Yeah.
It just started to lose its effect as you do more and more deals, right? Because if I was 4 or 5 years ago when I was starting my business and I got an $80,000 check or even $80,000 wire, that'd be, oh my gosh. And now it's just becomes a little numb. So really kind of celebrating those wins is my takeaway from this for the profit side. And because getting that dopamine is a big difference between just, hey, I'm going to transfer $50,000 into my account today and pay my HELOC down, or pay this, or pay off my credit card or something. And there's a whole different mindset, because it sounds to me like it's a reward, you just said, which I really like that.
Exactly. And that's a very important point. Profit's always a reward. So I own some stock in Ford. Ford sent me their distribution check. It was like $13, by the way. It was like nothing big. But I didn't open that check and say, I don't deserve this. I need to reinvest it into Ford. We got to grow Ford. I'm a shareholder. And I didn't go to call them and say, hey, do I have to earn this? Should I work the factory line for a little bit? And that's with our small business. When profit comes out, we're a shareholder in the business. We do not reinvest. So we don't give it back to Ford. We don't give it back to our small business. Our small business needs to find a way to operate off the OpEx. And we don't work for it. We're a shareholder. We took on risk and started a business that supports our economy, our community, and even globally. So that money comes out and the business owner uses it to celebrate. And that's your definition. Maybe you have personal debt. You can use it for that. Maybe you want to save for the future, college or whatever. Or maybe you want to go on vacation with it, or some combination thereof. That's all within your right. It just never goes back to the business.
Yeah, I like that. And then so the fourth step is to enforce a rhythm. And I think
frequency.
Yeah, so we're like, after going back and getting in more detail, I don't think we're frequent enough in my company right now. It's something that we
That could be. So the traditional business mindset is reactive financial management, meaning no money, sell. Oh my God, money just came in. Okay, let's pay all the bills. And then the bank's accounts deplete, like, holy crap, we got to sell again. It's very reactionary. What we want to do is get into a rhythm. And this was translated also from physical fitness. Physical fitness often translates to fiscal fitness. And with diets specifically, they found that 5 meals a day is optimal, yet most people eat 3. The reason 5 meals is optimal because there's a consistent caloric intake that reduces our hunger. So we never go into a peak hunger state and overeat. We eat 5 small meals. Well, in our business, we need to your point, do it usually more frequently. So in the book, I suggest minimally once every 2 weeks, but for most businesses, maybe even weekly. My own company, every Friday, we let the money accumulate in the income account. And then on Fridays, all the money gets allocated out and we're in this rhythm. And now what we get to see is every Friday, we have an expectation of what our normal income flow is. And in transactional business like real estate, there can be spikes. There's ways of handling it. It's an advanced technique called drip. I explain that in the book. Mm-hmm. But what you start doing is start having a standard expectation how money comes in, but also it throttles and controls how you're spending your money because you're doing it in a rhythm. That's the goal.
Yeah. And so you got these 4 things. So everybody's listening saying, okay, this is really interesting. It's exciting. This is something that I want to implement in my business. But you can't go from where you are right now, having never done this and having this cash eating monster of a business, right? To exactly the numbers like that, those taps that you want in your company for good. So there's kind of like this, it's like, I don't know, when I start to go to the gym again and start to get healthy again, like you talked about with the dieting, you're not going to go straight from, eating 3,000 or 4,000 calories a day to 1,200 calories a day. You're going to start kind of easing your way in. So what's the best way for them to start that process? What do you recommend?
That is a fantastic question, because this is the key to success I've discovered. And the technique is to simply step 1 account. So, people hear this and they're like, okay, I get it. And some people will try to go full throttle and it's overwhelmed and it is destined to fail because you have to adjust to it. And if you can't adjust, then we abandon it. And that's a shame. So simply step 1 account. I would make a savings account, call it profit, and allocate a small percentage. I suggest starting off with 1%, or you can figure out basically what your historical percentages were and allocate 1% more. But if you don't know, just start at 1% profit. So in practice, if $1,000 deposit came in, just for round numbers, 1% would be $10. So we take $10 and we put in this profit account, and then we run the business off the remainder, the 990. And the difference between $1,000 and 990 is inconsequential to an operation of a business. But the fact you have $10 set aside, well, that's highly consequential, because I know what happens. We've seen it now through so many case studies. People start saying, wow, I wonder if I can do 2%, 3%. They start growing their profit. They start adjusting their business. They say, what if I set those additional accounts? And so maybe it takes 6 months or even a year to roll out the full profit first system, but they're so anchored into it now because they've taken profit from the get-go by starting slow and letting it grow.
Do you recommend that business owners do this on their own, or do they find somebody who's a certified profit first partner to do it with?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of in the middle road. Some people have the discipline of doing their own. When I go to the gym, there's some people there that have the absolute discipline to show up every day, rain or sunshine, temperatures don't matter, they're just there. Those are folks who can do it on their own. I noticed that's the vast minority.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of people need a workout partner or a trainer, and they're different. So a workout partner, and you can do this with Profit First, just find another entrepreneur and team up and say, let's do this together and support each other. The only problem with workout partners is collusion can happen, right? So you say, hey, listen, let's go work out together. If one doesn't want to go, the other one's like, let's do this. And you hold each other accountable. But one day, one person's like, I really don't want to go. I'd rather go to Dunkin' Donuts. And the other guy says, I'd rather go to Dunkin' Donuts too. Now you've colluded. Now both you are, throwing down some of those Boston cream Dunkin' Donuts, and you're putting on weight as opposed to throwing up weight, in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's a real problem because you're going to keep doing that downward spiral. The highest level at gyms, and I think with Profit First, are trainers. So a Profit First professional, we have 450 certified, more than that now, certified Profit First professionals, people that I've personally trained on mastering this process. And they're accountants and bookkeepers by nature, but they also have the skill set. And what we found is, it's like a gym trainer. If you pay a gym trainer, you're going to go because you're paying them. And if you don't go, that trainer's calling you and say, listen, I'm sitting here waiting for you. Where are you? You have to go. But the trainer also, as you're doing exercises, has experience with all these other people. So they know what will work and what doesn't work. So they guide you to do it healthily and appropriately. The success rate of people getting, improving their bodies physically with a trainer is so much greater than doing it on their own. So you have to gauge your own natural discipline. And if you aren't totally naturally disciplined, like most people, I would definitely encourage someone to look into hiring an expert like a Profit First professional.
Yeah, it sounds like the same recommendation that I give for people with financial advisors. So for me personally, I don't use one. I'm very good with my finances. I know where they need to go. But what I say, I've had people come to me and say, well, they're taking this percentage. And I said, would you save without them? Will you put money away without them?
Right.
The answer is no, you won't, or you'll dip into it just like this. And is them calling you, emailing you, and being afraid of letting them down going to have you save 10% or 20%? And if that's true, then pay that 1% or 2%. But I'm not paying it because I'm motivated to save my money. I'm going to do it with or without somebody looking over my shoulder. And so I think it's what I got from your answer is very similar. If you can implement this and this is something that you're going to stick with, and you can, and it's not, it's setting up a couple accounts and being accountable to it. That's what it is. It's about making sure that you're doing it. And
I encourage people to put a deadline. If I say I'm going to do something on my own, I also have realized that say a deadline saying I'm going to do it on my own. And if I don't get it done within 1 week of today, I've proven I'm fooling myself. So I would encourage people, if you're going to do it on your own, commit to getting those accounts set up within 1 week. If they're not done, hire a professional. After you get those accounts set up, if you're not doing the allocations within 1 or 2 weeks, whatever the time frame is you set, then you hire a professional. That's a good cross accountability mechanism to yourself.
Perfect. The assessment, that instant assessment is where we started. So we started with the assessment. We assessed our kind of previous results in the company. And I think you have some resources either in the book or on the website for the instant assessment. And maybe we can tell some people where to go for that. But that's where we started to kind of see what we were doing and what our past performance was as far as profit and what was the tax that we were going to expect. So we can almost project what this year is going to be, and then not make it so stringent that it's uncomfortable, but push us a little bit to make some changes. And there's a couple other recommendations in there about like canceling credit cards, and because we have all these just charges that go all the time. And we don't know what that is. We're leaking money. So
credit cards are the bane of many businesses' existence because they play into all of our behavioral mechanisms in a bad way. Points to make you feel like they gamify, like, oh, I got to spend more because I need more points. Mm-hmm. It's the worst thing you can do. Trust me, they strategize that not to serve you, but to serve them. And they know that people buy into that stuff. So, you can cut credit cards. There's actually a mechanism for still leveraging credit cards, but in a much safer way that I talk about. And then for the resources, just in case people are interested, it's my website, which is MikeMichalowicz.com, or Mike Motorbike, because that one's easy to spell. Go to MikeMotorbike.com. Was my nickname in high school. And then you'll find, it says you got the tools, all the resources are right there, including the instant assessment.
Awesome. We'll include those in the show notes so they can click on it. That. So Mike Motorbike, and you just redirected it because they can't spell it. That's awesome.
That's my nickname in high school. I'm like, I should have owned this nickname. I couldn't believe no one else had it. I'm like, this is awesome. The irony is I've never driven a motorcycle. That's the funny part.
Well, I think that's probably a story for another day.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. So I think this is all really good stuff. I think everybody kind of understands the concept and the reason behind it, right? And then the execution of it. So the different accounts, and then their allocation. Everybody's allocation is going to be a little bit different. So that's going to be on them, kind of that instant assessment, and as well as like ongoing kind of triage of their business, right? But I think the overall concept behind it that hopefully everybody got is like, don't let your business be this cash eating monster. Like you really have to think about, as you're growing, be intentional about it, and don't just say it's another deal, it's another deal. It's just stack on the expenses and the operating costs. As your revenue grows, like, grow your bottom line too. Like if you're growing your top line, grow your bottom line, and see. It's not necessarily, can we do like way more with a lot less? Because I come from a military background, and that's all it is. It's like, we're just going to give you less resources and expect you to do a lot more. It's really frustrating as an operator, but actually not have to grow your resources in equivalent to the growth of your business. So if it's keeping up with the Joneses all the time, which is everybody's trying to do in their personal life and in the business, frankly, and really just growing organically, scaling, being smart, being efficient about it, because there is a point where your profit can just take off. Yeah. Once the infrastructure of your business is built out, you don't need to add on a bunch more people to do more business. And it's not more systems and more paid like for us, it's a lot of marketing. Marketing is one of our highest costs, but figuring out what that is, really looking at your key performance indicators and using the different systems that you have in combination with this allows you to see that and almost feel the pulse of the organization. And it'll tell you when it's starting to get congested and starting to have a problem, and it's starting to break down, and you can feel it ahead of time instead of waiting till the end of the month or the end of the year to go look back and go, holy crap, I didn't make any money, but we did $5 million in gross profit, but I made no money as what happened? You know, we don't want to do that forensic accounting. I'd rather see it way up front. So I just want to thank you again for writing this book, for sharing your stories. My joy. And what the other thing I got of is just kind of how open and honest you were about some of your struggles in your personal life.
Thank you. So I think it's important.
I couldn't agree more. I really feel like everybody sees people, especially today with the social media and everything that's out there. It's just, we have to be perfect. Everything has to be right. Yeah. And everybody's struggling.
Reality. That also, it bugs me about the persona of entrepreneurship. Because, you see the covers of Inc. and Fortune magazine. And I think we believe, we have to be this. To be a successful real estate investor, if you're not doing, $500 million, you really are a failure. It's kind of the mentality. And that's bull. That's not the typical normal journey of entrepreneurship. And it is a journey. It's hard. So I just wanted people to understand really what I've gone through. And it's been a difficult journey, but it's been a joyous journey.
Yeah. And obviously the impact that you're making right now is amazing. I think for the true entrepreneur, we get to that point where we've got it. We feel good, and in our life is set up. We've got the things that we need. Family's great. And then it becomes, how can I share this message with others? And those folks that are doing that stuff, they're really moving the needle for other people. And that's, I feel like, when we really get joy out of what we're doing, like the impact that I can make on other people's lives is just with this podcast and some of our members. Yeah. That feeling has become why I do a lot of what I do. And I'm sure from talking to you.
Same for me.
Yeah. So before you go, is there anything that we can share with the listeners? I know that you have a new book coming out. Can you tell us?
Yeah. Well, thanks for offering that. Yeah. So I'm super proud of it. I believe it's my most important concept I've ever written. And why I think it is because the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs have is knowing what their biggest challenge is. There's this constant rush to addressing all the apparent issues we have and putting out fires, but no one knows how to find the one thing they should be working on. So the book is called Fix This Next, and it's a method to rapidly pinpoint what to work on, then go set about resolving it, and then rapidly pinpoint the next problem your business has. And that, while it releases in April, it's available right now on Amazon, and so you can get the day it comes out. Fix this next.
Fix this next. So you guys got a long reading list now. So Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, Pumpkin Plan, Surge, Clockwork, Profit First, and Fix This Next. So
yeah, exactly.
I would, depending on where you are in your journey, like take a look at these books. They're all really, really great in the different areas that you might need help with right now. So depending on where you are, what I love about books is somebody asks me for a recommendation for a book, I read a lot. I try to read.
Me too.
I try to also implement what I read. That's the hard part, right? Just reading is one thing, but I never really like to give a recommendation just of what I'm reading. I ask them where they are in their journey, going on in their life, and then I'll recommend a book that I read when I was there, because a lot of people will ask me for what I'm reading right now, and it's not what they need. You know,
so smart. That's actually why I wrote Fix This Next. And I start the book by saying that, like, before we can solve a problem, we need to know what the problem is. And so Fix This Next, now I'm suggesting people, if they want to read any of my books, but they don't know what their challenge is, start with Fix This Next, and they'll pinpoint it. And then you can go explore my book or someone else's book that helps fix their problem, you know?
Awesome. I love it. And this system of Profit First, we operate our company and all my companies off of systems. That's systems and process are so important. This combined with our entrepreneurial operating system. So we operate.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Those two combined, I feel like this is the two kind of foundational systems that we run, this one financially, because when you use those terms of how's the health of your business, that's really exactly what we're looking for in the EOS structure. It's almost like a perfect pairing in what we do in our industry. And for those of you guys that follow us and want to make sure that you've got a healthy business operationally and financially, these are the two systems that we use. So I love the fact that I was able to bring you on, and hopefully next we'll talk to the creator of EOS too. So
that's cool. I know Gino, so that'd be cool.
Awesome. So Mike, thank you so much for coming on with us.
Thank
you. If any of you guys obviously follow Mike, he does different keynotes. He speaks from stage. Do you have a podcast too? I saw some.
I do. Yeah. Okay. So you can subscribe right now. It's called Entrepreneurship Elevated. And we explore all the ways to elevate the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, it's awesome. I listened to a couple episodes before you came on to kind of get a feel for it, and kind of saw your studio, nice setup and stuff. So
I got a nice full studio. Yeah.
It's really, really incredible.
I'm not in my studio right now. This is the guest bedroom because we have a power outage going on in my house.
Yeah, it's okay. We won't hold it against you. So, cool. And we actually managed to. I thought the audio was really good. It was great. So I'm really happy that we got to share this with our listeners. And for those of you guys who are listening, I know you can spend a lot of time in a lot of different places. There's so many things to do right now. I'm just happy that you guys spend the time listening to Seven Figure Flipping Podcast. And Mike, thanks so much for spending time with us.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
I'll see you.